I'm Liz Hanson, and in this section we're going to be talking about fruit trees. We can either have them in an orchard system or what we call in permaculture a food forest, and we're also going to talk about how we can incorporate them as part of our vegetable garden. So as part of a backyard with all your vegetables, you can have your fruit trees growing in amongst it, because basically fruit trees require the same sorts of care and nutrition that vegetables do, because they again are very productive plants. And the outcome is if you want fruit, you've got to look after them. So here we are standing in somewhere that could happen anywhere in suburbia. We've got vegetables growing with fruit trees, and you don't need to have a separate area to grow your fruit trees. Here we have a kaffir lime, a jaboticaba. Over here we have a peach tree, a fig, a custard apple, and it keeps going on over to some citrus in behind us. So you can have fruit trees growing in amongst your vegetables, in amongst your backyard. So we're going to move on to fruit tree selection. So most of us go to a fruit shop and know what sort of fruit we like to eat, and so we can make a decision on that basis. But there, of course, there's a lot of fruit out there that is not necessarily in the supermarkets or the fruit shops that taste good and that work really well in this climate. And the reason they're not in the fruit shop is because most of them don't handle storage. There's nothing better than standing under your own fruit tree and picking a piece of fruit. You are getting it at its premium, not only in taste, but also in nutrition. So knowing that there's actually fruit out there that you don't get available to try out in supermarkets and fruit shops, you need to go out and find them, a good example of them, in order to try them and see whether you like them. And have quite a few, like don't just stop at one, because you know if you had never tried an apple before and you took an apple and it was a bad apple, you'd go, I don't like that fruit. So make sure you get a really good example to try. The most important reason to select things that you like is that there's a lot of time, effort and energy goes into getting that fruit, that ultimate fruit from your fruit tree. And the last thing you want to do is at the end of that time, you might have to wait 7 years for that fruit to actually produce, is to find out that you don't really like it. So when you've chosen the fruit trees that you want to grow, then it's up to you to educate yourself. So we keep coming back to education, books, DVDs, local knowledge, the permaculture group. Find out as much as possible about them, what their potential is, what they require, how much room, the size they grow to, so you can select the right place within your garden for them. So we've come home with the fruit trees, we're all excited, now we're going to plant them. So how do we go about that? Let me show you. Okay, I'm going to demonstrate how to plant the plant on paper, because if we did it on the ground, we can't see what actually happens below the ground. So I want you to first of all imagine there's your soil level. We come along with our fruit tree, and first of all, most of the gardening shows tell you to dig a great big hole, and then they tell you to put all compost in that hole to pretty it all up. And then we come along with our fruit tree like that and we plant him. But what happens if we do that? Then of course the roots come out and they hit the edge of that planting hole and they go, oh no, that's not nice out there, so they turn back in, and they all do that. And what happens is we actually treat the plant like it's been potted, so it becomes a large pot rather than a small pot. Along comes a big wind, bang, down goes your fruit tree. Unhappy. Okay, so this one is the right way to do it. You've got your soil level. In you come with your fruit tree. No big digging big holes and trying to pretty it up. In goes your tree. Make sure you cover some soil over the top of your potting mix, because that sun will beat down. And if you have potting mix exposed to the top of the soil, that will dry out. So we put some soil over the top to stop that happening. Then we come in with all the pretty things. So we come in with the manures and then some mulches over the top and some minerals thrown on. And we might even liquid manure, give it a nice drenching of some seaweed, some kelp in a liquid form. And that fruit tree then goes, well, first of all, the microbes come along and they take all that nutrient down into the soil, because that's their job. And the fruit tree then sends out nice healthy root systems, particularly sidewards, because it comes in under that mulch. And when that big wind comes, that tree will be strong enough to withstand, and that's what's important. The maintenance phase, really important. Unlike vegetables, same sort of process. So we have a highly productive plant that is producing fruit, so therefore we've got to increase all the things accordingly. So going back to those 5 basic things, which is the 3 M's, the 2 W's, so minerals, mulches and manures, and watering and weeding. So the same rules apply for your productive vegetable garden as applies to your fruit trees in your orchard. So the health of your fruit trees, just like the health of your vegetables in your vegetable garden, is the utmost importance. You get that right, you get good fruit, good healthy fruit, and you get its own pest management. You don't have a pest problem. We've talked about keeping your plants nice and healthy, really important. But of course then we have the macro pests, the things they're going to share with you. They love to come in and share. And that's okay. There's a certain percentage that we give over to the wildlife because we like the wildlife as part of our system because they're part of our pest management. So here we've got a good example of mulching your trees, part of the maintenance phase, but also part of the pest management. We have chickens at free range around the property here, and of course here's the palm frond, something that a lot of Sunshine Coast properties have as a surplus. It not only acts as a mulch that stops water loss from around your trees, but it also acts as a repellent for things that scratch and dig, like scrub turkeys and of course your free range chickens that go around your property. So having fruit trees on your property is a must. They are delicious, they are productive, it's easier than you think. You just apply consistency, you get them nice and healthy, and you will taste fruit like it tasted when you were a child. That memory of standing under the fruit tree and taking that fruit and the juices dripping down your face, you have to do it. You have to go back to the way fruit was meant to be eaten.